Hey, it's Michael from Mark Smarter. In this episode of How to Dynamo, we're going to take an in-depth look at lacing. Now, sometimes our Dynamo scripts don't behave the way we think they should, particularly when we're creating elements in the Revit model. More often than not, the reason is that one of the nodes has the wrong lacing setting. So what is lacing? Well, in a nutshell, lacing is a setting that determines what a node should do if the input lists are of unequal length. So if I'm using a node that has multiple inputs, I'm not required to ensure those lists have the same number of elements. I can use lists that have any length. It's not a problem. Now, the node's lacing setting will determine how that node reacts to these unequal lists. And again, when the script doesn't produce the results that we think it should, it's likely that lacing is the culprit. All right, so let's switch on over to Dynamo and take a look. Now I'm here in Dynamo, and let's say I want to insert some families into my model. To do that, I'm going to use the family instance by point and level node right here. Now this node has three inputs. I have to input family type, point, and level. Now in this example, what I want to do is I actually want to insert three families, and I'm going to insert them into a series of points. And then I have just a single level that I'm going to use for that level input. So if we look at our inputs here, you can see I'm creating a list of my family types. So I have a list that contains 3 items. I'm creating a list of 10 points here. And these points are going to be sort of every 10 feet in the X dimension. So you can see here's my list of points in the preview. And then I just, again, have a single level here. So my inputs are all of unequal length. I have a list of 3 elements. I have a list of 10 elements right there. Let's see. There we go. And then I have just a single level element here. So again, 3, 10, and 1, completely different inputs, a number of inputs. So let's create them, or let's add them into our family instance by point and level node. Here are our inputs. Now you can determine your lacing setting by looking at the lower right-hand corner. And by default, Dynamo nodes are set to auto lacing. So I'm going to switch over into a split screen, and I can see that my family's inserted right here. So I got an instance of my first family, which is a small box, an instance of the second family, which is a medium box, and then an instance of the large family, the third family here, which is my large box. So I'm going to go over to my lacing settings. And again, with the auto setting, the node is going to try to figure out what I'm looking for. What is my intent here? And most times Dynamo gets that right. But when I'm trying to do something maybe a little out of the ordinary or not typical, in this case, what I really want to do is I want to insert 3 sets or 3 instances of my family at each point. So the auto setting interpreted, well, it's going to give me 1 instance of each family, and I can see kind of my points, or my remaining points are all empty. So it didn't get that right. So I'm going to cycle through the lacing settings and try to determine which setting is going to give me the results I want. Again, I want to get an instance of each of the 3 families at every point. So to change the lacing, I'm going to click on this control, this kind of vertical kebab here, and I'm going to go down to lacing. And again, auto is set by default. Now I'm going to change this to shortest. So with the shortest setting, the node is going to use the list that is shortest to determine the length of all of the other lists. So my shortest list is my level list that only has 1 item. So it's only going to take 1 item from every list. So it took 1 family type and 1 point. And I can see that here in Revit, I only get 1 instance of my family. So not exactly the results I was looking for. Now let me go and back to lacing, and I'm going to go to longest. So with longest, what the node is going to do is it's going to take an instance of the longest list, and then it's going to apply that, but it's only going to take the same number of items from the shorter lists, but it will repeat whatever that last item is. So if we look in Revit, I can see here that it placed an instance of each of my families, and then once it gets to the end of that list, which is only 3, it uses that last item for items 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it matches the lists up until the point where they run out, and then it just uses that last item for all of those remaining items of the longest list. So this is a little bit better. At least I'm getting some family instances at my points, but it's, again, not exactly what I'm looking for. Now, one thing to note too is as I change my lacing, the icon here next to my kebab here changes. So you can see there's a different icon for auto, for shortest, longest. And now we're going to look at the last option, which is cross product. So cross product is really interesting because it takes every possible combination. So let's click on that. And you can see here, I actually finally get what I want. I want an instance of each family at each point. So it's inserting family 1 for every point, family 2 for every point, family 3 for every point. And again, I only have a single level, so it's all placing them at the same level. So that cross product is giving me every possible combination that exists within my variety of lists. And that was what I was looking for, but it took a little bit of work for me to cycle through and make sure that I get what I want, what I was looking for. Now, another interesting thing with cross product, and you can see, let's go into Dynamo here. And if we take a look at our 3D preview, you'll see that I'm getting my kind of points in a line here. And this was just by creating a single list of points and using that as an input. So if we go over to our point by coordinate node, you can see I'm just putting in a single input here into that X coordinate. Now I'm going to go ahead, let me check my lacing on this node. And let's see what that's set for. I'm going to set this for auto for right now. And then I'm going to input this list of numbers into my Y coordinate. And you'll see that it changed. My preview here is a little out of whack. Let's get that. Let's see if I can get that better. Nope. I think I'm underneath it. There we go. A little bit better. So it's now showing those points kind of off at a diagonal angle. Now, if I change my lacing, again, I have the numbers, I'm getting a list of numbers 0 through 90 in the X, 0 through 90 in the Y. I'm going to change my lacing here, and it's going to, I'm going to go to cross product, and you'll see it's going to create a grid of points for me. So it's giving me every possible combination of the X coordinate combined with every combination of the Y coordinate to generate this grid. So if I switch over into Revit, I can see that now I have a grid of all of my family instances. So I have every family instance, or every instance of my family placed at every point, and I have this 10 by 10 grid that was created through cross product of my point by coordinate. So I can use lacing to my advantage and really as a shortcut depending on what I'm looking for. So it's really important to know when I want to use it and then how I can troubleshoot my outputs from my nodes by looking at that lacing setting. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of How To Dynamo. If you did, go ahead and click the subscribe button to get more Revit automation tutorials. Also, check out my free Dynamo template using the link over there. This template contains 20 node groups for common Dynamo actions, and it'll save you a ton of time when you're creating your scripts. Just copy and paste the groups you want, and you're on your way. All right, that's all from me. I hope to see you soon. Bye.